Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint. We like to get into the nitty-gritty of how to make your retirement the best it can be. And today we're diving into something especially relevant if you spent your career in education or healthcare, maybe a nonprofit.
Yeah, these are areas where folks often have 403(b) plans.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about 403Bs and how rolling one over into a Gold IRA, well, it could really be a game changer for your retirement strategy.
Absolutely. It's something a lot of people don't even realize is an option.
It really is. And we want to make sure you have all the tools to make the best decision for you. So we put together a free checklist to help you if you're thinking about a Gold IRA. You can find it at goldirblueprint.com, FaceOpel Perf exclusive. It'll walk you through choosing the right Gold IRA company. But before we jump into all that, let's start with the basics. What exactly IRS a 403B? And why are we even talking about it with gold in the same sentence?
Okay, so a 403(b). Think of it like a 401(k), but specifically designed for people in those public service fields. Teachers, nurses, nonprofit workers. You're putting pre-tax money from your paycheck in there. Up to $22,500 a year, as of this year at least. And that money grows tax deferred. The thing is, though, you're usually kind of limited to the investments your employer picked for the plan.
Makes sense. So it's great for getting started with retirement savings and getting those tax benefits early on. But where does the gold come in? I mean, most 403B plans, you're not buying gold bars with them, right?
Right. That's where the rollover comes in. You can take that money sitting in your 403(b)
Yeah.
and move it into a gold IRA. And that's what lets you actually hold physical gold. It's like unlocking a whole new level of retirement planning.
Okay, I'm already seeing the appeal here.
Right.
But there's got to be a but coming, right? There are always rules and regulations of these things.
Oh, absolutely. You're not wrong about that. There's a 60-day window to complete the rollover once you
Okay.
get that money from your 403(b). Miss that, and you could be looking at some tax headaches you don't want. Plus, you can only do this rollover once per year, so it's not something to jump into without a plan.
Definitely got to be strategic about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we're doing this by the book. Why is rolling over to a gold IRA even a good move for someone who's, getting closer to retirement? What's the big advantage?
A lot of people look at gold as a way to hedge against inflation. When the cost of living goes up, gold tends to hold its value pretty well. Sometimes it even increases in value. Plus, it can give you some stability when the market gets crazy.
Like a safe haven when everything else is going up and down.
Exactly. When stocks are on a roller coaster ride, gold can be that calm port in the storm.
So it's about diversifying your portfolio, having something that doesn't always move in the same direction as stocks and bonds.
Exactly. Not putting all your eggs in one basket. You're not betting everything on the stock market to do well for your retirement income.
And that peace of mind can be really valuable when you're thinking about retirement and maybe living on a fixed income. You don't want to get caught off guard by a sudden market crash or see your savings eroded by inflation.
Absolutely. It's about building a retirement plan that can handle different economic situations. Now, this isn't to say gold is a guaranteed win, nothing is, but it does have a unique role to play in a well-rounded portfolio, especially for people getting close to or already in retirement.
So it's about being smart with your strategy
Mm-hmm.
and not going all in on any one thing.
Exactly. And that's where really understanding your own financial goals and how much risk you're comfortable with comes in. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
It sounds like working with a financial advisor who really knows gold IRAs could be a huge help.
Oh, absolutely. Having someone to guide you, answer your questions, and help you figure out a plan that works for you, that's invaluable.
Okay, so we've talked about why you might want to consider this, but let's get into the how. What are the actual steps to move money from a 403B into a gold IRA? Is it a complicated process?
Honestly, it's more straightforward than a lot of people think.
Okay, that's good to hear.
The first thing is finding a good gold IRA company, one with a solid reputation.
Makes sense. So do your homework maybe talk to that financial advisor we mentioned?
Exactly. They can help you make sure you're working with a company you can trust.
Because I'm guessing you can't just walk into any bank and say, hey, I want to buy gold bars for my retirement.
No, not quite. There are specific companies that specialize in gold IRAs, and they'll walk you through everything.
So once you found a company you like, what happens next?
You open an account with them, pretty similar to opening any other investment account.
So paperwork, ID, that sort of thing.
Yep, pretty
And then
much.
how do you actually move the money from your 403B into this new gold IRA?
That's called a rollover. And there are two main ways to do it. You can do a direct rollover where the money goes straight from your 403(b) custodian to the gold IRA custodian. Or you can do an indirect rollover where you get the money yourself first and then put it into the gold IRA. Okay, but wait, didn't we talk about a 60-day rule earlier? That sounds kind of risky with the indirect rollover.
Sure, Sharp, you remembered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the indirect rollover, you've only got 60 days to get that money into the gold IRA. Otherwise, you could get hit with taxes and penalties. It's definitely safer and usually simpler to stick with a direct rollover.
Makes sense. Less room for error. All right, so say the money's in the gold IRA. Do we get to go on a gold shopping spree now?
Huh. Not exactly. The
Yeah.
gold has to meet certain IRS standards for purity and fineness. It's not just any gold off the street.
So there are rules even within the rules, I see.
Yep, gotta make sure it's the real deal.
So what are our options then? What kind of gold can we actually invest in?
Well, there are a few main types. First, you've got gold bullion. Those
Mhm.
classic bars or ingots you see in the movies, they're usually 99.99% pure gold or higher.
Like Fort Knox gold.
Pretty much. Then you have gold coins. These also have to meet IRS standards for purity. Some of the popular ones are American gold eagles, Canadian gold maple leafs, and South African Krugerrands. They all have their own history and designs. So you could build a little collection of these coins inside your retirement account.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Mm.
Are there other options, or is it just bars and coins?
There's one more we should mention, gold ETFs, which are exchange-traded funds. They're like baskets of gold-related assets. So instead of owning physical gold, you own shares of this fund that tracks the price of gold.
Ah, so it's a more indirect way to invest in gold.
Right.
What's the advantage of that?
Well, ETFs are convenient and easy to buy and sell. You can trade them on stock exchanges just like regular stocks.
But with a gold IRA, we're really talking about holding the actual physical gold.
Ooh, exactly. You want that tangible asset, that sense of security and stability that gold can offer.
So back to the bars and coins.
Yeah.
Where's all this gold actually kept? Do I get a safe in my basement?
Uh-huh. I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
The IRS says the gold in your IRA has to be held by a qualified custodian. It's a third-party company that specializes in storing precious metals securely and making sure everything's following the rules.
So no treasure chest in the basement. Makes sense, though, from a security standpoint.
Uh-huh.
But how do you choose between bullion and coins? Is one better than the other for a gold IRA?
There's no right or wrong answer there. It
Right.
depends
On what?
on your preferences and your investment strategy.
Okay.
Bullion is usually cheaper, especially if you're buying a lot of it. But coins can be more collectible. Some people like having those tangible pieces of history in their portfolio.
Like a little museum in your retirement account.
Exactly.
So it comes down to what you're comfortable with and what fits your overall goals. Speaking of goals, we've talked about how to set up a gold IRA. But I want to get back to why we're even considering this in the first place. We mentioned diversification and hedging against inflation. But can you talk more about the specific benefits of having gold in your retirement portfolio?
Sure thing. Remember, retirement can last a long time, and you need a portfolio that can adjust to changing economic conditions.
Because who knows what the future holds?
Exactly. You need a plan that can handle the good times and the bad.
So how does gold help with that?
Gold has a history of holding its value, even when things are uncertain. When paper money loses its buying power because of inflation, gold tends to do well.
It's a finite resource, right?
Yes, and that scarcity makes it valuable.
It's like owning a piece of history that doesn't really care what the stock market is doing. Well, that's pretty powerful.
And that feeling of stability can be really reassuring when you're thinking about your financial security in retirement.
It's not just about numbers on a screen. It's about having something real,
Yeah.
something you can hold in your hand. That represents a store of value that's lasted for centuries.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on, for our listeners who want to dig deeper into this, where can they find more information about gold IRAs and making smart decisions about them?
We created a checklist to help you navigate the world of gold IRAs. It's completely free, and you can find it at goldirblueprint.com/exclusive.
Perfect. It's full of tips and insights and questions you should ask potential gold IRA companies. Definitely worth checking out. Now let's move on to the final part of our deep dive. We'll look at the potential risks and challenges of investing in gold for retirement and how to handle them. Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint. So we've talked about the why and the how of gold IRAs. But like with any investment, it's important to look at both sides of the coin to make sure we're making smart and informed decisions.
Absolutely. No investment is risk-free, and gold's no different.
Exactly. So let's talk about those risks. What are some things people should know before diving into a gold IRA?
Well, one thing is that the price of gold can be volatile. It can go up and down pretty quickly in the short term, kind of like stocks.
So it's not like a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to see those overnight gains you might hear about with other things.
Right. Investing in gold is more of a long-term strategy. It's about preserving your wealth and potentially seeing it grow steadily over time.
And that long-term stability, that's what makes it appealing for retirement planning. You don't want to be worrying about your savings taking a nosedive when you're relying on them for income.
Exactly. Another thing to consider is that gold doesn't generate income like some other investments. Like stocks that pay dividends or bonds that pay interest.
So it's not about getting a regular stream of income from it. It's more about the value of the gold itself increasing over time.
Right. It's about capital appreciation. But that appreciation isn't guaranteed. Gold can lose value too.
Which is why diversification is so important. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your risk across different types of assets.
Absolutely. And having a good financial advisor can really help with that. They can help you figure out the right mix of investments for your goals and your risk tolerance.
Okay, so we've got volatility and the lack of income as potential downsides. Anything else to watch out for?
Yeah, there are some costs involved with having gold IRA, like storage fees.
Because the gold has to be kept somewhere safe, right?
Right, you can't just keep it at home. It has to be stored by a qualified custodian and in a secure IRS-approved facility.
And those fees can vary, I imagine.
They do. It depends on the custodian and how much gold you're storing.
So factor those costs into your planning.
Definitely. Another thing to be aware of is that buying and selling gold. It can be a bit slower than trading stocks or bonds.
Meaning you can't just instantly cash out if you need the money right away.
Exactly. It takes a little more time.
So it's not the best choice for short-term needs. It's more about that long-term hold, safeguarding your wealth and building a retirement plan that can weather the storms.
Exactly.
So even though there are some potential downsides, gold can still be a smart move for some people when it comes to retirement.
It is if you understand the risks and weigh them against the potential benefits.
It's about making the right choice for you and your individual circumstances.
Exactly.
And remember, we've got that free checklist for anyone who wants more information about gold IRAs.
Right, head over to goldirblueprint.com exclusive. It's got tips, insights, and questions you should ask potential gold IRA companies.
It's a great resource to help you get started. Well, I think this has been a really informative deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground about gold IRAs and how they could potentially fit into a retirement plan.
Absolutely, and remember, a successful retirement, it's all about careful planning, making smart decisions, and having the right information.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us today on the Gold IRA Blueprint. Don't forget to grab that checklist at goldirblueprint.com/exclusive. And until next time, may your future be bright.